Hey, friends, and if you're waiting on that November 19th Social Security check, I need you to stay with me because we're covering exactly who's getting paid this Wednesday, what time that money hits your account, and I'm going to give you the real truth about those $2,000 stimulus checks that President Trump has been talking about. Now, I know a lot of you have been hearing about this stimulus on the news. Some outlets are making it sound like it's a done deal, and I get it. When you're living on a fixed income and prices keep going up, the idea of $2,000 sounds amazing. But I respect you too much to give you false hope. So I'm going to break down exactly what's happening, what the realistic chances are, and what you need to know. I read through all the reports, the fact checks, and the actual legislative proposals so you don't have to. That's what I do here. I cut through the noise and give you the straight truth. Before we dive in, if this kind of no-nonsense information helps you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm here every day bringing you updates on Social Security, Medicare, stimulus news, and everything that affects your benefits and your wallet. All right, let's start with what we know for sure, the Social Security payment schedule. On Wednesday, November 19th, if your birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th of any month, you're getting your check. That's how Social Security does it. They pay based on your birth date, not when you signed up or how long you've been receiving benefits. So if you were born on March 15th, July 18th, December 12th, any date between the 11th and 20th, Wednesday is your day. This applies to Social Security Retirement Benefits, SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, Survivor Benefits. Now, here's where some people get confused. So let me clear this up. If you started getting Social Security before May 1997, you already got paid on November 3rd. You're on a different schedule. You get paid on the 3rd of every month, regardless of your birthday. If you're on SSI Supplemental Security Income, you actually already got your November payment on October 31st. Why? Because November 1st was a Friday, but the Social Security Administration doesn't pay on weekends, so they moved it up. You're not getting another payment in November. And if you get both Social Security and SSI, those come as two separate payments on two different days. The remaining payment dates for November are November 26th for those born between the 21st and 31st. Most people see their direct deposit between midnight and 3 a.m. on payment day. Big banks like Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they usually process early morning. Credit unions can be a little different. Some show it pending the day before. Others don't post until business hours on the 19th. If you don't see it by 3 p.m. on Wednesday, call your bank first. If they say it wasn't sent, then you need to contact Social Security. And here's something important. According to the Social Security Administration, if your payment doesn't arrive, you should wait 3 business days before panicking. But if it doesn't come after 3 days, there could be a real issue. Maybe you're in an overpayment situation where they're withholding money or there's a problem with your benefit status and cost of living adjustment. I know. I know that doesn't feel like much when everything costs more, but that COLA is already in your current checks. The important thing to know is that the next COLA, the one for 2026, that's not coming until January 1st. Some people get confused about that. Here's what the maximum benefits look like for 2025. If you retired at age 70 after paying in the maximum $5,180. If you retired at full retirement age 67, $4,180. If you took early retirement at 62, $2,710. The average Social Security benefit right now is $1,925 per month. That's across all recipients. And speaking of full retirement age, this is now permanently set at 67. If you were born in 1960 or later, that's a done deal starting January 1st, 2025. Okay, here's where I need you to really pay attention because there's a lot of misinformation out there. President Trump has said he wants to send Americans a $2,000 stimulus check, including seniors on Social Security. This is real. He said it multiple times. But saying it and it actually happening are two very different things. Let me give you the timeline of how this evolved. Back in July 2025, President Trump first mentioned he wanted to send $600 stimulus checks. Senator Josh Hawley even drafted a bill for it, a bill that would pay Americans $600 from tariff revenue. Then in October, the president increased that number. He started talking about $1,000 to $2,000 checks. Just recently, he's been consistent about the $2,000 amount and said he wants to get it done in 2025 before the end of the year. So, yes, the president has publicly stated he wants this to happen. Multiple news organizations are reporting on it. But here's what you need to understand about whether this will actually happen. There are three major obstacles standing in the way of you getting that $2,000 check before the end of 2025. Problem 1, the Supreme Court case. Right now, the Supreme Court is hearing arguments about whether the president even has the legal authority to impose these tariffs unilaterally. If the Supreme Court rules against him, all that tariff revenue goes away and there's no money to fund stimulus checks. And from what's being reported about those Supreme Court arguments, it didn't look good. Even conservative justices seemed skeptical about the president's authority here. Problem 2, competing priorities. The president has promised to use tariff revenue for multiple things: paying down the federal debt, funding the tax cuts that were just passed, and sending stimulus checks to Americans. The problem, experts say, there won't be enough money to do all three. So which one is his top priority? We don't know. Yet, problem 3, time is running out. We're in mid-November. Congress typically takes a holiday break in December. That gives them maybe 15 working days to draft legislation, pass it through both the House and Senate, and get it signed. Could it happen? Maybe, but it would require this to be the president's absolute top priority, and it would require Congress to move faster than they usually do. Here's what I think, and I want to be straight with you. When President Trump wants something from Congress, he usually gets it. We saw that with the recent tax bill. So if, and that's a big if getting stimulus checks to Americans is his number one priority, then yes, it could happen. But there are too many variables right now for me to tell you. It's definitely coming. The tariff revenue might not even be legal once the Supreme Court rules. And even if it is legal, the president has promised that money to multiple things, and there's not enough to go around. Here's what I think should happen. If these tariffs have driven up prices, which experts agree they have, then returning that money to American consumers, especially seniors, on fixed incomes would be the fair thing to do. You've borne the brunt of these price increases, but what should happen and what will happen aren't always the same thing. All right, let's talk about things you can control while we wait to see what happens with stimulus. First, if you don't have a My Social Security account yet, create one at sa.gov. You can verify your payment amount, check your direct deposit info, and see your payment history. Takes 10 minutes. Second, if you're still getting paper checks, switch to direct deposit. It's faster, safer, and you don't have to worry about lost or stolen checks in the mail. Third, and this is important, look into other programs you might qualify for. SNAP benefits, food stamps. Most seniors don't realize they qualify. LIHEAP, that's heating and cooling assistance, Medicare savings programs. Can help pay your premiums, state pharmaceutical assistance programs, property tax relief. If you own your home, I have detailed videos on all of these programs. They're designed to work alongside your Social Security. And a lot of people leave money on the table because they think it's too complicated or they won't qualify. That's not true. Fourth, if you're on Medicare, please don't just auto-renew your plan for 2026. There are major changes happening. Some Advantage plans are being dropped in certain states. 6 states are requiring pre-authorization for certain procedures starting January 1st. Medigap plans are changing. You owe it to yourself to compare your options during this open enrollment period. Let me give you my bottom line take on this $2,000 stimulus situation. What we know for sure, President Trump has publicly said multiple times he wants to send stimulus checks. He wants it to come from tariff revenue. He's mentioned doing it before the end of 2025. What we don't know, whether the Supreme Court will rule the tariffs are legal, whether this is his top priority versus other uses for that money, whether Congress can move fast enough to pass it before year end. What I'm monitoring 3 things. The Supreme Court decision on tariffs, whether the president starts actively pushing Congress to prioritize stimulus legislation, whether Senator Hawley's bill or a new stimulus bill starts moving through committee. If any of those things happen, you'll see a video from me immediately breaking down what it means for you. But right now, today, I cannot tell you that $2,000 is coming. I wish I could, but I won't mislead you. I want to address something that's been frustrating me. A lot of news outlets are running headlines that make it sound like this stimulus is a done deal. They're using words like payments already sent and when you'll get it, as if it's already approved. That's not responsible reporting, and I think it's creating false expectations for seniors who are really struggling and could desperately use that money. So I want to be very clear until a bill passes both houses of Congress and gets signed by the president. There is no stimulus check coming. Proposing it and wanting it to happen are not the same as it actually happening. I promise you, the moment something real happens, the moment actual legislation starts moving, I'll break it down for you. But I'm not going to hype you up about something that's still just a proposal. Look, I know living on Social Security is hard. The average benefit of $1,925 a month, that's tough to live on, especially with rent, groceries, medical costs, everything going up. The idea of an extra $2,000 would be life-changing for a lot of you. I get that. Some of you are choosing between medications and food. Some of you are behind on bills. Some of you are stressed every single month about making ends meet. And when you hear the president talking about stimulus checks, it gives you hope. I understand that. But I also know that false hope can be worse than no hope. So I'm going to keep being straight with you about what's real and what's speculation. What I can tell you is this: there are resources available right now that can help. Programs you might qualify for, ways to reduce your expenses, strategies to maximize your benefits. It might not be as exciting as a $2,000 check, but it's real. It's available now, and it could make a real difference in your monthly budget. So, to wrap this all up, if you were born between the 11th and the 20th of any month, your Social Security check is coming Wednesday, November 19th. Most of you will see it in your account early morning. As for the $2,000 stimulus, President Trump has said he wants to do it, but there are major legal and logistical hurdles. The Supreme Court has to rule on whether the tariffs are legal. The president has to make this his top priority over competing uses for that money, and Congress has to pass legislation in the next few weeks. Could it happen? Yes. Will it happen? I honestly don't know, but I'll be watching closely and keeping you updated. In the meantime, focus on what you can control. Make sure you're getting all the benefits you qualify for. Review your Medicare coverage during open enrollment and look for ways to reduce your expenses. If you want to stay on top of all the latest news, stimulus updates, Social Security changes, Medicare information, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm here every single day, breaking down what matters to your benefits and your wallet. And if this video helped you understand what's really going on with stimulus, instead of just the hype, leave me a comment and let me know. Tell me where you're watching from. I love knowing where you all are. Take care of yourselves, friends. I'll see you tomorrow with more updates.